Hello everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another Inspiration Collaboration Design Team Mystery Envelope Challenge. This month I sent out the mystery envelope to the team and my rules are, I said, it's time to make Christmas cards. Use the supplies included in this envelope to create a festive set of cards. You may use any stamps, dies, embossing folders, embellishments, and cardstock you want from your stash. Okay, so I sent papers from Iconic Celebrations. These are the 6x6 papers. So I sent a selection of these papers and also some gems. These are the druzy embellishments. So they're kind of a reddish gold and silver glitter gem. Okay, so let's get started. My first card, I want to use Sophisticated Sled. So ahead of time, I have die cut a bunch of images, and one of them is the sled and ice skate image. And these are really cool textured dies. So the first pattern paper I'm going to use is this plaid. So we'll go ahead and cut this down. So we'll take that down to 4 inches. And we'll just see where we go from here, okay? So I'm going to make a 5x7 card. So I've already cut a base of cherry cobbler, and that is at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I'll have a white border, and then I'll have the cherry cobbler border. And then we'll layer in that plaid. Like that. And then I've cut a piece of white cardstock and a mat for that. And I'm going to emboss this white piece of cardstock. This is the Falling Snow embossing folder. And we'll go ahead and run that through. So we'll have a background of falling snow for our sled. And I'm going to stamp out my sentiment that says, "Let it snow." This is in Mossy Meadow. And it's also from the Sophisticated Sled stamp set. And I found a die to cut that sentiment out from Unbounded Love, the die set. So it has a scallop border, and I may or may not use the border, but the sentiment fit perfectly in the inside portion. Okay, so now let's start assembling. I'll take you through some of the assembling, and then I'll speed some things up. So I'm just using a tape runner, and we'll go ahead and layer things in, just basic gluing. Are you busy making your Christmas cards too? 'Tis the season, right? I tend to wait a little too long, and then I have to bust a whole bunch out all at once, but I'll get it done. Okay, so we've got the base, and now I'm just going to kind of figure out if these are going to fit. So that scallop border won't fit, but I'll use the sentiment area, and we'll start gluing things down. So I'm just using wet glue, and we'll just assemble all these parts. And this is where I'll speed things up, and we'll just layer things in. So we've got our skates, and then the blades of the skates I cut in silver foil paper. I'll make a list of all the supplies that I used in the description below. And then the laces of the skates you can layer in. This is a really cool stamp set, or die set. Layer those in, and then we've got some sprigs of greenery. So I like to use 2 layers to make it more full. Now these are the Essential Baker's Twine, and it comes in basic colors. So I'm going to pull the white, and I'm going to tie a couple of bows and layer them, and my skates will be hanging from this twine. So we'll layer those in with a couple of glue dots. And then to finish it off, we will add some of these cherry cobbler pearls. So they come in threes and singles, and I'm going to use some of the singles and add those to the sprigs. And then we'll glue down our sentiment really quick, and we'll call it done. So cute. I love all the layers and details in this die set. And it plays nicely off that plaid. Okay, we'll bring it closer to the camera, and then I'll have some still shots. So cute. All right. Lots of layers and interest, and with the snow embossing folder. Very cool. Okay, next card. We'll bring in the 6x6 papers. I'm going to use the candy cane paper. I'm also going to use sophisticated sled, and this time I'm going to use the stamps. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to use the wreath or the swag, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp them both out. I thought I was going to use Mossy Meadow on Mossy Meadow, but then I changed my mind. I'm going to use black ink, and I have a piece of cardstock in my MISTI, and we'll just go ahead and stamp these out. And these both have coordinating dies. So we'll get them inked up, stamped out, and I'll die cut them off camera. Okay, I think I want to use the wreath. All right, so I'm going to emboss some white cardstock using So Swirly. And then I felt like it needed a little more treatment. So I'm going to bring in some of this Hero Arts iridescent spray and my splat box, and we'll go ahead and spritz a couple spritz on there. And it's kind of tricky to see, but when it hits the light in a certain way, it sparkles and looks really cool. So that's totally optional. I always have to add a little bit of shimmer, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and cut down this candy cane paper. And I think we'll go with 1.5 inches by 5 1/4. So this one's going to be an A2 card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we'll start laying things out and layering them up. So I'm looking for a card base here. And go ahead and get that set up, and we'll get started layering things, and then we'll skip ahead. So I'm just going to lay things down first to see how it all looks. And then I'm going to bring in another, I think it needs a skinny strip of cherry cobbler. So we'll go ahead and cut 1/8 of an inch just to add that between the pattern paper and the white cardstock. Yes, that definitely makes a difference. And I'm also going to bring in some of this gold ribbon. So it comes in packages of gold and silver, and it's about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to add a little bit of gold ribbon. And off camera, I've cut and assembled these bows. They're so cool. They are from the Peaceful Evergreens set. So I've cut this one in cherry cobbler, and then I'm going to use a die that is from the Stylish Shapes collection, and I'm going to stamp out my sentiment. So this one says, "Let's decorate the season with happiness," and this is also from Sophisticated Sled. So I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow and cut it out with that tag die, or it's got both ends dovetailed. Okay, so let's go ahead and start assembling. Again, I'm going to speed things up and skip ahead. So I'm going to use a combination of tape runner and wet glue. And got things assembled, and now I'm adding that strip of ribbon with some glue dots. So I'm wrapping it around that white cardstock, and we'll get that layered in with some glue dots, and then we'll attach it to the cherry cobbler. And that way the ends of the ribbon are tucked under, nice and neat. And then we can add that tiny strip of cherry cobbler with some glue. Just that tiny strip, it really makes a difference and makes the gold pop. Okay, so now we have our wreath and our bow added and our sentiment, and then we can add some bling. So these are the druzy gems. So I've added some silver ones, and then off camera, I added some gold pearls from an older set called Festive Pearls. So we have silver and gold on that. So pretty. I really like the way that turned out. Okay, next card. This time I'm going to use a background stamp. It's called Falling Snow, and then I'm also going to use Peaceful Evergreens. So I've loaded this stamp into my Misty, and we'll stamp that out. So first I stamped in a darker blue, but then I decided that boho blue was good. I didn't want it to really be popping a lot, so I used the lighter blue. And then I'm going to stamp these two evergreen trees. These are the two smaller ones in Mossy Meadow on white, and they have coordinating dies. So we'll stamp those out. And check this out. All of the shading and highlights are all part of the stamp, and it's so detailed and really beautiful. Okay, so I have cut that background stamped piece down, and I'm figuring out where to stamp this shadow. Okay, so I'm going to bring boho blue back in, and this stamp, it creates a shadow that the trees are making in the snow. So we'll go ahead and figure out where to place the shadow, and our trees will be layered above that. Okay, so I want to use this piece that has trees, and just kind of figuring out what size to use. So I'll go ahead and cut this at 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm looking at the design and seeing which trees I want to cut down. So, okay, so that's going to be layered. And I'm feeling like the white is covering up too much of that tree pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down again. I'm going to trim off 1/8 of an inch off each side. And I'm going to layer it with a piece of Mossy Meadow. So my base is also going to be Mossy Meadow. And we'll have things layered in like that. I like that. Okay. My sentiment is also going to come from Sophisticated Sled. It's another Let It Snow. I'm going to do exactly the same thing and use that die to cut that image. And we can start layering things together here. So I'm just going to use a combination of tape runner and glue. We have a lot of layers of cardstock, so I'm not going to pop anything with foam tape, just to keep the bulk down for mailing. And just kind of figure out where I want my trees to be. We'll layer those in. And where to put that in that sentiment. First I thought I was going to put it at the top, but they're in part of the stamped image. There's some really pretty snowflakes. So I'm going to find another spot for my sentiment. I think right there will make it interesting. I think we'll put it there. And then, of course, to add some bling, These are some more of those druzy embellishments. And I'm going to use more than what I sent in that little packet in the mystery envelope. Deciding if I want silver or the gold, because they're gold-ish. So they're in between a gold and a rose gold, but I decided to go ahead and go with those. So I'm going to scatter a bunch of those on the trees. And there's my finished card. So pretty. Those tree stamps, they're going to get a lot of use for my hiking pictures and my scrapbooks. So nice. Okay, last card, and I'm going to use this last piece of Iconic Celebrations, and I've embossed a piece of white cardstock in that snow embossing folder. And we'll go ahead and cut down this tree paper. So this one will be a landscape A2 card. So it's also 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we'll trim down that tree paper and fold our card. Okay. And then we have our embossed piece, and that will get cut down. And I need to have a mat for that to make it pop some more. So I've cut these sentiments. Merry Christmas. The Merry is from a Paper Pumpkin add-on set, and the Christmas is from Peaceful Season. So I have layered the Merry and the Christmas with cherry cobbler and mossy meadow. And then I'm going to bring in Reindeer Fun because that swag was just too big. So I'm going to cut a smaller wreath, and then I also have that bow from Peaceful Evergreens. And I'm looking at how I've got things laid out, and I need another layer of cherry cobbler to make that green tree paper pop a little bit more. So we'll add that. And this is cherry cobbler ribbon, and it's got like a sparkly gold border on each side of the ribbon. So I'm going to add that. I'm just checking it out here to see if I like how it looks. So I'm going to add 2 pieces of this ribbon. And we'll have a tiny separation between the two, and then we'll layer everything on top. I like that. So we're tacking it down with some glue dots, and then we'll put the whole thing on our card base and layer that white piece on top of it. And now we can add our sentiment. I'm going to keep this relatively clean. So we'll glue down our sentiment and our wreath, and then we'll add that bow. I'm going to call that done. So I've taken close-up shots, and you can find them still shots over on my Facebook page. The URL is at the bottom of your screen. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can hop on over there, give a follow, and check out the close-up shots of all these cards. The list of supplies is in the description below, as is the playlist for all the other Inspiration Collab Design Team members who have created cards with these supplies they were sent. I'm excited to see what they've created. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.